she texted you, and if you reply the way you feel right now, you're about to lose her again. Because the biggest mistake you can make in this moment is thinking her message means something more than it actually does. Most men see that notification pop up and instantly their emotions take over. They think she misses me, she wants me back, this is my chance. And without even realizing it, they jump right back into the same behavior that pushed her away in the first place. But here's the truth: you don't judge her interest by the fact that she reached out, you judge it by the level of effort, consistency, and intention behind it. A single message doesn't equal attraction, it doesn't equal respect, it doesn't mean she suddenly values you deeply. Sometimes it just means she was bored. Sometimes it means she was curious. Sometimes it means you crossed her mind for a moment and she acted on impulse. And if you respond as if that small action is something big, you immediately lower your value. Because now you're showing her that she can do the bare minimum and still get your full attention. You're telling her without words that you're still waiting, still available, still emotionally invested at a high level. That's why understanding her intention is everything. You have to look beyond the message itself and ask, what is she really doing here? Is she investing? Is she asking meaningful questions? Is she trying to see you? Or is she just throwing out a simple hey to see if you're still there? Because women test through behavior, not words. She's not just reaching out to talk, she's also observing how you respond. She's measuring your emotional strength. She's seeing if you've changed or if you're still the same guy who reacts instantly, who gets excited too easily, who gives away his attention without any standard. And the moment you overreact, the moment you show too much eagerness, the moment you treat her message like it's more important than it is, the test is over and you failed it. But when you understand this, everything changes. You don't rush. You don't let your emotions take control. You take a step back, you stay calm, and you respond from a place of awareness, not impulse. You recognize that her reaching out is just an opening, not a conclusion. And that's what keeps you in control. Not controlling her, but controlling yourself. Because one message doesn't mean she's back, it just means she knocked on the door. The moment you decide to reply, you're not just sending a message, you're revealing your position. You're showing her exactly where you stand emotionally, how much access she still has to you, and whether or not anything has actually changed. And most men don't realize this, but that first response sets the tone for everything that follows. If you reply instantly with excitement, long messages, or too much eagerness, you're communicating something without saying it directly. You're telling her that nothing has changed, that you're still just as available, just as invested, just as easy to access as before. And the mystery you built during your silence, it disappears in seconds. Because attraction isn't just about connection, it's about perception. How she sees you matters more than what you say. And when she sees that you're quick to jump back in, quick to give your attention, quick to engage at a high level, she subconsciously feels that she still has the same level of control over you. There's no challenge, no shift, no reason for her to view you differently. But when you don't rush, when you take your time, when your response feels calm, measured, and not emotionally driven, that's when the dynamic starts to change. She begins to feel that she doesn't fully have you figured out anymore. There's a pause, a space, a slight uncertainty about where she stands with you now. And that uncertainty is powerful. It makes her pay attention. It makes her think before she acts. It makes her more aware of how she's showing up because now she's not sure how you'll respond. And that alone raises your value in her eyes. But this doesn't mean you ignore her or play games. It means you respond with intention. You don't react, you choose. You match her energy instead of overwhelming it. If she sends a short message, you don't respond with a paragraph. If her effort is minimal, your response reflects that. You stay balanced because what you're doing here is setting a new standard. You're showing her that access to you isn't automatic anymore, that your time, your attention, your energy, those things have value now. And she has to meet you at a certain level to receive more of it. And here's where the real shift happens: when she senses that you're not over investing, she starts adjusting. She may send another message. She may try a little harder. She may engage more deeply, not because you asked her to, but because she feels that the dynamic has changed. And all that started with your first response. Because in that moment, you're either reinforcing the old version of yourself or introducing a completely new one, and the way you reply determines which one she experiences. What really separates you from every other guy she's dealt with isn't your words, it's your emotional control. Because most men can say the right things, send the right texts, even follow the right advice. But the moment their emotions get involved, everything falls apart. They rush, they overthink, they react instead of respond. And that's exactly what she's used to. When she reaches out, she's not just looking for a conversation, she's feeling your energy. Even through a simple message, she can sense if you're calm or if you're anxious, if you're grounded or if you're seeking validation. And that energy is what determines how she responds to you moving forward. If you're sitting there staring at your phone, overanalyzing every word, wondering what to say, checking if she's online, waiting for her reply after you text back, you're already losing control because now your state is tied to her actions. She replies, you feel good. She delays, you feel uneasy. She says something unclear, you start thinking too much. That's not power, that's dependency. And women can feel that even if you try to hide it. It comes through in how fast you respond, how much you say, how you phrase things, and how consistent your behavior is. Emotional instability always reveals itself over time, but when you have real control, everything feels different. You're not in a rush to reply because you're not seeking an outcome. You're not trying to impress her or win her over. You're simply engaging from a place of calm confidence. If she messages, you respond when it makes sense, not when your emotions tell you to. If she takes time, it doesn't affect you. Your mood doesn't shift based on her behavior. And that's what creates attraction on a deeper level because now you're unpredictable in the right way, not inconsistent, not confusing, but emotionally steady. She can't pull you in and push you away like before. She can't control the pace of your reactions, and that makes her pay more attention. She may test you, send something random, delay her replies, act a little distant to see if you'll break, to see if the old version of you comes back. But when you stay grounded, when you don't react emotionally, when you keep your responses simple, calm, and controlled, she sees the difference. And that difference builds respect because you're no longer acting like someone who needs her attention. You're acting like someone who's comfortable without it. And that energy is rare. You're not trying to force attraction anymore. You're allowing it to grow naturally through your presence, your patience, and your control. Because at the end of the day, it's not what you say that makes her feel something, it's how little you need to say. One of the biggest traps you can fall into right now is rewarding her small effort with your full attention. She sends a simple message, maybe just maybe something casual, and you respond with energy, excitement, long replies, and immediate availability. In that moment, you think you're doing the right thing, but what you're actually doing is lowering your own value because attention is a currency. And when you give a lot of for very little in return, you teach her that she doesn't have to invest to get you. You set the standard that your time and energy are easy to access, easy to earn, and always available. And over time, that kills attraction because there's no challenge, no effort required on her side. Think about it. People naturally value what they have to work for. When something comes too easily, it doesn't feel special, it doesn't feel earned. And in relationships, this dynamic is even more important. If she feels like she can reach out with minimal effort and instantly get your full attention, there's no reason for her to step up, no reason for her to invest more emotionally. But when you start matching her effort instead of exceeding it, everything changes. If she sends a short message, you keep your response simple. If she shows more interest, you open up a little more. You're not being cold, you're not ignoring her, you're being balanced. You're creating a dynamic where she has to meet you at your level instead of you dropping down to hers. And this is where the shift begins because now she starts to feel that your attention isn't automatic anymore. It's something that has to be earned through her actions. And when she senses that, she begins to invest more, asks better questions, engages more deeply, puts in more effort to keep the interaction going. But this only works if you stay consistent. The moment you break this pattern, when you suddenly give too much attention again, you reset everything. She goes back to doing the bare minimum because she knows she'll still get the maximum from you. So the key is discipline. You don't let your emotions dictate your responses. You don't get overly excited just because she reached out. You stay grounded, you stay centered, and you respond in a way that reflects your value because what you're really doing here is teaching her how to treat you. You're setting the tone for what's acceptable and what's not. You're showing her that if she wants more of your time, your energy, your presence, she has to earn it through consistency and effort. And when she realizes that, when she truly feels that you're not giving yourself away so easily anymore, her behavior naturally starts to change, because people don't rise to what you say, they rise to what you consistently allow. Right now, the most powerful thing you have isn't what you say next, it's the space you choose to keep. Because the moment she reached out, a small gap opened up again between you and her, a gap filled with questions, curiosity, and a little bit of uncertainty. And that gap, that's where attraction starts to rebuild. But most men rush to close it. They reply instantly, they explain themselves, they try to bring everything back to how it used to be. And in doing that, they destroy the very thing that was working in their favor, the tension. Tension isn't a bad thing. It's not about playing games or making someone uncomfortable. It's about allowing emotions to develop naturally instead of forcing them. When there's a little space, a little delay, a little unpredictability, her mind starts working. She begins to think about you more, wonder about you more, feel your absence even while you're technically back in contact. When you remove that tension too quickly, there's nothing left for her to feel. Everything becomes predictable again. She knows you're there, she knows how you'll respond, and that sense of curiosity disappears. And without curiosity, attraction fades. But when you allow that space to exist, something different happens. She starts filling it herself. She might check her phone more often. She might read your last message. She might wonder why you didn't reply yet, or why your response was shorter than expected. And all of that creates emotional movement inside her without you saying a word. This is why patience is so powerful. Not forced silence, not ignoring her out of ego, but choosing not to rush, choosing to let things breathe. You're not trying to control her feelings, you're simply not interfering with the process. And here's the part most people miss: when she's the one thinking more, wondering more, and feeling more, she's also the one becoming more emotionally invested, because emotions grow in the space where answers are missing. When everything is clear and predictable, there's no reason to think, no reason to feel deeply. So instead of trying to impress her with your words, you let your absence and your timing create that impact. You respond when it feels natural, not when your emotions push you to. You keep things light, you don't over explain, and you allow her to come toward you at her own pace. And as that happens, the dynamic shifts again. She leans in more, she engages more, she starts trying to close the gap that you're comfortable leaving open. Because the truth is, attraction doesn't grow in constant contact, it grows in the space between it. At the end of all this, the biggest shift you need to make is in your mindset, because this isn't about getting her back, impressing her, or making sure she stays interested. That way of thinking puts you in a position where you're always reacting, always adjusting yourself to keep her around. And that's exactly the position that leads to losing yourself. What really changes everything is when you stop trying to be chosen and you start choosing. When she reaches out, it's not a signal for you to jump back in. It's an opportunity for you to observe, to see who she is now, how she shows up, what kind of effort she's willing to make. You're no longer looking at her message thinking, how do I keep her? You're looking at it thinking, does this align with what I want? And that's completely different energy, because now you're not operating from fear of losing her. You're operating from self respect. You understand your value, your time, your attention, and you don't give those things away just because she decided to send a message. You give them when it feels right, when it's earned, when it matches your standards. And this is where the real power comes in. You're not trying to control her actions or predict her behavior anymore. You're focused on your own consistency. You're grounded in who you are, what you want, and what you're willing to accept. And from that place, your decisions become clear. If she shows genuine effort, you meet her there. If she's inconsistent or low effort, you don't chase it. You don't try to fix it. You simply pull back and stay centered. There's no drama, no overthinking, no emotional reaction, just clarity. And that clarity is what makes you different, because most men are trying to win her over. They're trying to say the right things, do the right things, avoid losing her. But you're not in that game anymore. You're not trying to win her, you're evaluating her. And when she feels that shift, when she realizes that your attention is no longer guaranteed, that your presence in her life is now a choice rather than a constant, that's when her behavior changes. She starts putting in more effort, showing more interest, trying to meet your level. not because you demanded it, but because she feels she has to. And here's the truth: whether she rises to that level or not almost stops mattering, because you're no longer dependent on the outcome. You've built a mindset where your focus is on your standards, your growth, your direction, and that's what makes you powerful. Because the moment you stop chasing someone to choose you is the moment you become the one worth choosing.